Hello, my name is Youngjun Kim. My thesis topic is a study on risk assessment method in heterogeneous network operating environment. The content of my thesis are introduction, related works, risk assessment method, verification, and conclusion. I'd like to introduce the background and the problem of my thesis. The factors of business complexity and uncertainty are accelerating the shift to cloud service with excellent elasticity, flexibility, and efficiency by breaking away from the existing IDC-based infrastructure operation environment. The legacy operating environment, which is a contrasting expression to the cloud operation environment, is intended to be defined as an environment referred to as legacy operating environment, in which your network is configured and operated based on the existing IDs, data center, computer room, server room, etc. A network operating environment in which the cloud operating environment and the legacy operating environment coexist is defined as a heterogeneous operating environment. In such a heterogeneous operating environment, how can cyber breaches be successfully prevented? It requires a method to identify, analyze, and evaluate risk in advance to identify risk with high risk and to act quickly according to priority. In heterogeneous operating environment where various types of network exist, a problem was found in that the logic of risk assessment results was not guaranteed. In particular, as human error and subjective opinions are added, the issue of lack of logic and objectivity in risk assessment is becoming a major issue in the field of practice. Existing risk assessment index, such as asset importance, vulnerability rating, threat rating, alone are insufficient to reflect environmental factors such as operating environment on the network. If the same system for the same purpose is located in the cloud operating environment and legacy operating environment, the same risk is calculated with the existing risk assessment index. Therefore, the risk assessment score of vulnerabilities found in numerous systems operating in heterogeneous operating environment is calculated as the same score. So it is not possible to prioritize really urgent risk in a heterogeneous network operating environment where legacy and cloud operating environment coexist. The existing risk assessment method is sufficient to reflect network diversity, complexity, and controllability. I'll continue to explain the problem of disease. There are app servers such as app server A1 in server room, A2 in IDC, A3 in the cloud, operated in different network operating environment as in figure 4, right side figure. And performing risk assessment on disease web servers, the same risk level is calculated for the same vulnerable items. If the scores of those three factors, A, V, T, applied to the risk assessment are the same, the risk result will be the same. A is short for asset rating, V is vulnerability rating, T is short for threat rating. First, since the importance of one asset is calculated according to the purpose of use of the system, the corresponding systems are calculated with the same asset importance if the purpose is the same. Second, the same vulnerability items of the same time of a system are calculated at the same vulnerability level. So the threat level is manually calculated through the probability and impact level. And since it is also mapped with the vulnerability item and calculated as the probability of occurrence and the impact level at the time of occurrence, it is also calculated at the same level. Therefore, when evaluating only disease risk factors, systems with the same purpose operating in different heterogeneous network operating environments have the same level of risk. So risk factors or control levels placed by each network cannot be reflected in detail. I'd like to introduce some related works. First one is vulnerability analysis evaluation model. The level of risk is to evaluate the level of risk in consideration of the level of the asset, the level of threat, and the level of vulnerability. The levels are calculated as very vulnerable, relatively vulnerable, moderate, and hardly vulnerable. As follow the tables right side of the right side. Second one is Guide to Information Security Management System Risk Management. The risk is expressed as a matrix by calculating the risk as asset importance, threat level, and vulnerability level as follows. I'd like to introduce my proposal topic is risk assessment method. As key factors to be considered in risk assessment in a heterogeneous network operating environment, network diversity, network complexity, and network control level are derived and applied as index. First one is NDI. NDI is short for Network Device Diversity Index. Table 4, in the NDI index, a single network operating environment has an NDI index of 0. The multiple network operating environment corresponding to the NDI index of 0.5 consists of 2 or more types of the same type of network. This does not apply to case based on different types networks. In the case of a heterogeneous network operating environment, the NDI index becomes 1. In other words, when an IDC-based network environment and a cloud-based network operation environment are operated simultaneously, the NDI index corresponds to 1 as a heterogeneous network operation environment. Totally, single network NDI is 0. Multiple network NDI is 0.5. Heterogeneous network NDI is 1. As follow the tables. Second one is JSI. JSI is short for Network Zone Separation Index. The Network Zone Separation Index is an adequation evaluation index for network zone separation. Zone separation of the network is a method of applying access control to a group of systems grouped according to purpose or importance rather than applying access control to each system. It is a method in which the network is operated separately according to internal or external importance, and the separation grade is expressed as an index. For example, a zone that requires internet or external access, usually called DMZ, an internal zone that does not require direct access to the internet, such as called server zone, and the zone that stores only important data even in inner zone, such as data zone. The network is divided into server zone or DB zone. Therefore, according to the purpose and importance of the system, the grade was calculated according to whether the zone was separated so that only the restrict system and users could access it from the inside-outside access zone. This was expressed as the network joining index JSY. Totally, zone is not separated to zone. JSI is 1. Zone is partially separated. JSI is 0.5. Zone is completely separated. JSI is 0. Let's follow the tables. Third one is CLI. CLI is short for control level index. The control level index is an index that expresses the appropriateness of the network blocking policy, divided into zones in terms of the control policy management level. In other words, it is an index of whether the control is effectively applied through control equipment such as firewalls. In the control level index, the level of access control and the level of control management between separate zones, such as the control level between external and internal zones and the control level between internal zones, was expressed as an index. The index is calculated according to the following criteria. In the table 6, it is classified as absent, insufficient, suitable, according to the judgment criteria. In the absence of access control, such as firewall, the CLI index becomes 1. Some controls is performed through various access control systems, such as firewall, sub-access control, DB access control, and so on. The CLI index becomes 0.5. When an appropriate policy is applied and applied through the control equipment, the CLI index becomes 0, as follow the table. So, the environment factor is proposed by combining these 3 factors, such as network diversity index, zone separation index, and the control level index. The newly established equation 7 can calculate the level of risk reflecting the security characteristic of individual networks in a heterogeneous network environment by adding on environmental factor E index. Also, in an environment other than heterogeneous network, it can be applied as in equation 8 with the NDI index removed. Equation 9, right side, is a risk assessment formula that considers the environmental factor E presented in this paper and becomes a risk assessment formula that reflects the environmental characteristic of only various networks. In equation 9, the environmental factor calculated from network diversity index, NDI, network zone separation index, JSI, and control level index, CLI, was added. It is suggested as a way to further improve the logic, the objective of the risk assessment result by applying the environment factor. Equation 9 is a risk assessment formula that considers the environmental factors presented in this paper and become a risk assessment formula that reflects the environmental characteristics of only various networks. In equation 9, the environment factor calculated from NDI, JSI, CLI was added. It is suggested as a way to further improve the logic and objectivity of the risk assessment result by applying the environment factor. I'm trying to verify my disease risk method. The system with the same purpose located in heterogeneous network have the same risk since there are numerous equal degrees of risk. Many of the same imminent risk cannot be identified more readily. Table 13 expresses the general range of the distribution values of the environment factors for which the NDI, JSI, and CLI index were calculated. Table 14 is the result of applying equation 11, including environmental factors. Therefore, even for systems with the same purpose operating on different network, the risk is calculated differently depending on the environmental factors that reflect the characteristics of individual networks. In table 15, we'll compare with the level of risk, the number of systems with the corresponding level of risk and priority. In the table 15 to 16, the risk level and priority can be compared intuitively. The risk level of existing systems of different heterogeneous network is expressed as a more objective and logical result in the proposal result. Therefore, it is possible to take a measure with high urgency first through disease results. In other words, it is possible to establish a more optimal risk action plan than the existing measure by using the resource of the company. Lastly, I'd like to introduce the proposal of the conclusion of my disease. As key factors to be considered in risk assessment in a heterogeneous network operating environment, network diversity, network complexity, and network control level are derived. Therefore, in this proposed method, various factors were reviewed to solve disease problems. An index called environmental factor E, which combines 3 index was discovered environmental factors. E are calculated through network diversity index, network zone separation index, and the control level index, and can be applied to existing risk assessment. The benefit of using the environmental factor E index is that allows for more objective risk assessment that takes into account numerous environmental factors, such as a network operation environment. Lastly, in an environment which numerous systems are operated, it is possible to quickly take action against risk by referring to priorities. Thank you.